What is up YouTube and welcome back to the RiftGuides WildRift video. It's time for the newest patch 6.1F and here we have a few changes that are very interesting. Some are really mind-boggling, that are like, wow, you just never understand them. And some hotfixes which are really well deserved, for example, the KALISTA rework. This change is so much welcomed, you have no idea, because this champion has been killed before. So let's see if Riot manages to actually revive that champion. Anyways, let's go to patch 6.1F. Welcome to patch 6.1F. This will be our last balance patch of 6.1. We hope you've had a fun gazing up to the stars with us and filling out your constellation within the Dual Nova system. Our favorite was the Poro. What was yours though? Before we hop over to 6.2, for which I have the PBE notes, so I'll go over that one in another video. We have a few balance adjustments, and we are bringing you a new adventure mode to explore. So grab your star maps and let's dive into the last sparkly bits of patch 6.1F. New, the adventure mode. So, I thought about a new name for ARAM. Let's just call it 4RAM, or 4RAM, which looks like an A. Just easier than saying this. So I just call it 4RAM now. We hope you've been having extra awesome, amazing, augmentifying times in the 4RAM event. Oh, there's a motorcycle. If you haven't, there's still some more time to play before the patch ends and the queue closes. Stay tuned for our upcoming patch preview for more information about what's to come for 4RAM. The 4RAM season ends on the 15th of July. Doublecast. Double the spells, double the fun. Queue up to play Doublecast with some of your friends starting this patch. Doublecast will start on the 4th of July. Events. BMO's Sweet Surprise. BMO has a sweet surprise waiting for you. BMO's Sweet Surprise will start on the 11th of July. Champion changes, and here we have KALISTA. This patch we have wanted to make a few adjustments before heading into the 6.2 patch. First, we're going to take a look at KALISTA. We know she has been untouchable in the late games, so we're reducing her attack speed to dash distance conversion of her passive. We have also been keeping a close eye on Zillion, and we have noticed this time Masters, low cooldowns, have made them hard to counter, so we've made some tweaks. And last but not least, we've made an array of adjustments to a few champions who we felt were underperforming and could use a little boost. First off, KALISTA late game? This champion never scaled into late game because it was too short range. Like, it's not Kai'Sa, Like, you need actual damage items to deal damage, and you need to hit a lot, so your champion didn't really scale, and you had to stomp lane. That was the problem. Okay, cool. Let's start with the stats. So first off, they are giving KALISTA back some of her power. Look. Finally. Less everything, 54 to 58, plus more AD per level, plus more health. This is a huge adjustment. However, KALISTA still had more AD in the past. Keep that in mind. And you have to win lane. So is it really that much? No. Is this champion a solo queue champion? No. Is this champion a duo queue champion? Yes, but are there a lot of better options available for duo queue? Also yes. Anyway, martial poise. The dash distance gained from attack speed is reduced by 33. Next up we have Pierce. The damage sees an increase in the flat department by a total of 10, and in the scaling by plus 5%. The Rend ability, which is KALISTA's most damaging ability since it directly converts your auto attacks into bonus damage afterwards, is also seeing a huge increase from 8 to 12 on each individual stack of the spears. We also see a slight adjustment, turning down the ratio by 1%, but you're getting 4 more damage per spear early game. So what we have is we have an early game buff, which is more base AD, a little bit better scaling because of scaling AD, and we have higher damage on Rend on the flat department here, which is a very, very big difference. Like a very big difference. Like you see, up to 10 per spear. That's huge, it's humongous. And Fate's Recall or Fate's Call, the cooldown is seeing it reduce in 10 seconds early game, which makes it easier for the KALISTA to perform well. Okay, cool. These are cool changes. KALISTA will definitely be better. She still can't really compete with the top dogs of the patch. Like, she really can't. And she requires you to be in duo queue. You cannot blind pick the champion. You cannot just play the champion with any other champion. You'd prefer playing it with an engage support, creating space, and then you just play around this space and the CC chain, and then this champion is playable. Outside of that one, I would rather stay away from that one. However, it's cool that they buffed the champion. It really needed. It's like this is one of the most deserved buffs in the history of WildRift. So big thumbs up. Okay, Camille. Camille has been struggling a lot. Like, we don't have a flavor text, but I'll just fill it with my own words. Camille has suffered a lot. This champion is not really a champion that was designed to be a carry champion anymore after all the nerfs she's received. She was more like a pet for the jungle. You have a non-interactive lane by you spam your second ability, and then if somebody's around you press ult, or you roam around and press ult, and then you scale the moment you have enough levels, so your Q fully converts into true damage, which is it 13, 12? I think something around that line. I don't necessarily know. But yeah, what do we see here? We see base attack, huge buff from 58 to 62. This will make her early laning phase a lot better. This will make her W poke more potent. This just makes her easier to pilot during the early game and then maybe win out if you're being better. For the second ability, the HP when healed by the auto-off hits is from 50% to 80% of the damage dealt to champions, and the damage to jungle camp sees a 15% increase. I don't really know why we're buffing the jungle camp modifier, because nobody liked jungle Camille in the past. But yeah, it's just typical right thing. Is this going to save the champion to compete with the very top dogs in solo queue? No. But it makes her a lot easier to pilot, makes her a lot better, but not omega broken. For competitive play or more organized play, this champion was always good because of how the champion functions. You have like a lane that just, you just non-interactive second ability spam, and you are a very good side with ult. So that's very good. So she's definitely a lot better with this, but not omega broken. Viego. Some of the changes like that I don't understand. I do not understand why we are buffing Viego in any capacity. Let's just break it down for you. Sovereign's Domination. Health healed when assuming enemy champion's form is from 5% of the enemy's target's max health to 7%. And the Heartbreaker, which is the ultimate, sees a damage increase from 12 to 14, 16 to 17, and from 20 to 20. So the first rank does more damage. And on the highest rank, it's still the same. Viego was already very powerful. This buff is completely undeserved, doesn't have anything to do with like how the game actually is. It's very scary because Viego is already very good. It's like buffing Aatrox damage, even though the damage is like the champ is absolutely busted. So again, player perception, different elos we're in. This makes the champion in the apex tiers of people who play the champion a lot and are at the very top skill level a lot more broken. And for the people in the mid elo, it just doesn't do anything. Okay. Kayn. No flavor text again. The Darkened Scythe. Additional damage caused by Shadow Assassin from 44 to 48 to 58 to 62. This is not a problem because Blue Kayn has been underperforming a lot due to the champions that have been played. Blue Kayn has not been the problem for a long time. The problem is Red Kayn. Red Kayn is the problem. Red Kayn is really broken. Red Kayn does more damage than Blue Kayn. And one of the biggest issues here, this additional damage is magic damage. So Kayn doesn't even benefit from all the lethality items you can build that much because the bonus damage he does is magic damage, which will then always be reduced by like roughly 33% or something. So this number here, like you still have to put it into perspective because you don't have any magic pen. Okay, Blade's Reach. This is a base buff for all Kayns, all 3 Kayns. Base damage sees a 15 increase. That's really cool to have. This is also buffing Red Kayn, so you need to be careful. But Red Kayn's most damage is from Q. Like, lethality Red Kayn, ult, Q, dead. Blue Kayn, not a problem. These changes are good. He needs buffs because Blue Kayn really doesn't perform well. And I don't see a problem with that one, but it doesn't push Blue Kayn into the meta or anything. Kassadin. The biggest thing about Kassadin is his ultimate ability. Having a high cooldown early game makes it easier to punish the champion or not die to this champion as easily. They're removing 1 second of this ability's cooldown on the highest rank later as well. So if you have a lot of haste, you can pretty much imagine what happens as the game continues, which makes the champion very problematic. The thing though is, like looking at all the champions in WildRift, you see like we see buff after buff after buff after buff. And if every other champion is getting buffed, other champions that are still like that are good feel weak, and then they buff them again. And we are reaching a point very soon where we need another durability patch. Like we desperately need it soon TM. Like probably the latest with the next update in 6.2, we need another durability patch. It is simply how it is. Kassadin will be a problem champion again. which you used to be before. The only thing that was difficult for the Castellan is the game might have been too fast for him to get something done compared to the other champions. Like look, for example, at Ari. Ari has been buffed like 19 times, got Malignance, and this champion, for some reason, takes away half of your HP with just QW, not even hitting Charm or Ult or anything on Sork Boots. So, very questionable. I'm not a fan of buffing Castellan here. I'd rather have the Pierce, like his Pierce being nerfed, so Castellan can shine naturally again, but Ride doesn't really go much for nerfs. Twisted Fate. Destiny, cooldown reduced by 10 seconds in early game. This doesn't do anything for the champion. It's completely irrelevant in solo queue. The problem of this champion is it doesn't do damage. Relying on your teammates in solo queue will only get you punished most of the time, and Twisted Fate only really does damage if you have a substantial item lead or you have like a lot of items as the game goes on. Other than this, he doesn't really do anything in current WildRift. So yeah, he needs he needs buffs, but not on the ultimate ability. That is not what we want to do. Senna. Another champion which I disagree with, that doesn't need any buffs at all. The champion is more than fine. It is in fact very broken if you're good, plus play duo, because the champion is a duo-centric champion. But it's Ride Classic, so what do we have here? Piercing Darkness, bonus damage from 50% additional attack damage to 60. Dawning Shadow, 100 to 120. I don't understand why we're doing this. Senna is already very good. This will make it even better. Yeah, I'm not a fan, even though I like to play this champion. I don't like my champions being buffed because I know that they're busted. For example, Karma, like you see Enchanter Karmas, you see Tank Karmas. For some reason, they make the champion look balanced when the champion is obnoxiously broken. Played full damage, so. Yeah, Senna's getting stronger. Okay, yeah, the Aatrox thing. That's a funny one, guys. Aatrox, Deathbringer Stance. Bonus damage dealt to basic attacks from 5 to 15 to 4 to 13, so this is a slight nerf. But this is, like, nothing in terms of how much damage this champion does. The Darkened Blade, flat damage nerfed by 5, but we buffed the sweet spot damage by 10%. So, effectively, the most damaging ability of an Aatrox is this. Aatrox Jungle currently turns into an auto-attack champion later that one-shots you with sweet points. So, effectively speaking, we see an Aatrox buff. And this champion is broken. So, I really don't know what to say. I really don't, because we are apparently not playing the same game. Swain. Bonus damage from ability power 42 to 32%. I don't understand why we're nerfing Swain. Swain has clear weaknesses, clear strength, and if anything, is more of the balanced champions. Because if this champion gets onto your head, that is the problem. That is literally how he is designed to be. It's similar to Rise. Any artillery mage can indefinitely kite him. And that makes the champion balanced, like having clear weaknesses, clear strength. Compared to having no clear weaknesses, but only strength, is, yeah, like, I don't agree with this. We also saw in the 6.2 that his ultimate gets a change again, that he can explode multiple times, like every 6 seconds, I think. Maybe this is like an expectation of this change already to just nerf him a little bit, but yeah. I know that Swain in the mid-elo and, like, overall in not, like, elite play, is performing pretty well because people just walk into him and die to him on cooldown. Because yeah, that's like what the champion loves. If you do it, if you walk into him, you just die. Same for Brand. So yeah, I can see why they're doing it. But from a reasonable point of view, like from the champion's strength point of view, it's not justified. Amumu. Nerfing Amumu, yes, that is like. You can justify it by saying the champion is way too easy, way too impactful, early to mid, way too tanky, and anybody can pilot this champion. But this champion's stats, like, technically speaking, are ruined by people with 700 GPM because they simply run around and just int it. Like, this champion can force very well. Super tanky. And I think a nerf is fine. Like, he's not a problem champion, like, for example, Riven or Aatrox or Ambessa, for which we haven't seen any changes yet. But it's definitely okay to nerf such a popular and easy champion. Like, popular, super easy champions should not be that OP. Like, Garen, for example, super easy, popular, very much a beginner champion, but yet, like, super strong. So I think that is fine. 720 to 690 HP, damage reduction, -3 across the board flat, and the damage of this Tantrum is the third ability. Sees a 20 damage like reduction here across the board, so this makes Amumu weaker. This will, like, okay, This makes Amumu less overbearing, less obnoxious, but it doesn't change anything about this early game problem that you're facing when this champion runs into you because of his fast clear speed and still being so durable. I don't think it changes much because the fights weren't even close at that point. It changes, however, like if you don't perform well, if you are not farming efficiently, it makes you weaker, like a lot weaker, because you lose base stats, and then you have to rely on items and actual gold to play your champion, and that way this nerf is, I think, completely okay. Amumu isn't like normally isn't even played if you want to play carry jungle. Like you wouldn't even touch the champion. Zillion. This is a problem thing because I do not know about the passive, like time in a bottle. At an initial cooldown, 0 to 13 seconds. Experience can be converted at 5 seconds. 40, 70, 100 to 20, 50, 80. This is a problem because to this day I don't know about the proper XP values of each level. Plus, this champion hasn't been open in the last 80 games I've played, permabanned, so that's a problem. Twisted Time Flow, base shield from 80 to 60, so we see a 20 reduction. Ability haste increase during fleeting time, 100 to 80%. Temporal Mirage, we see movement speed reduced minus 10% here on the ability. So the thing is, the problem with this champion remains the same. I would assume. You cannot force into him, he completely neutralizes your lane, and then you can't play the game. Yes, they nerf him, but looking at the nerfs, it doesn't change anything about the gameplay loop. Because level 1, you still start with 2 bombs. You can take lane priority depending on your AD carry champion because you out-muscle people. Because you have the damage to do so. Like your first ability has a 75% AP scaling, which then incentivizes going full AP rather than Enchanter. Your ultimate has a 200% AP scaling, which then again incentivizes AP over Enchanter. You can go full lane setup with Comet, Scorch, Cheap Shot, Zombie Ward, and Gathering or something. And then you dominate lane and diffuse enemy all-in comms with just your champion. Do I agree that nerfs are like required? Yes, absolutely. But I think this is not enough to kill the champion. But I really don't know about this one. Like, I really don't know. Because, well, we don't have any access to any of the data for level, etc. in the game. Like, we simply don't. Gameplay changes. In this final sparkly patch on 6.1, we're also taking a look at free items. We're increasing the vision exposure on Horizon Focus to help realize its full value. Additionally, we wanted to help you increase the stats per stack and Omnivamp for Conqueror, so champions who synergize well with it with the rune can use it even more effectively. And lastly, we are nerfing some of the grass damage can deal. Okay, cool. Horizon Focus, Hypershot, reveal duration 6 to 8 seconds, surrounding champions 2 to 3 seconds, cooldown 15 to 12 seconds, this doesn't change anything. The problem is, mages have core item Sock Boots, next item Luden, or like something similar, like for example, Zoe has Lichbane here, or Ari has Maligma here. Then your next item would be most of the time anti-shield here, and then you have Rabadon, and then you have other items you want to build over Horizon Focus. So the problem is the item itself isn't bad, but the alternatives that exist are most likely, depending on the game state and the draft you're in, just better. And since they're not touching the stats of the item itself, as in giving it more haste, giving it more damage, or whatever, it doesn't change anything about that one. Okay. Conqueror. Conqueror, bonus 80 per stack from 2 to 6 to 3 to 7. Bonus ability power 3 to 9 to 4 to 11. Healing on max stacks, melee 8 to 5 on range, 9 to 5 after the changes. This is a direct buff to Corki and Ezreal. This is a direct buff to Ambessa, or an indirect buff to Ambessa. Like every Conqueror user feels a lot better about this. At the same time, we are nerfing one of the most used runes in the Baron lane, Grasp with the Undying, from 3% to 2%. This is a huge nerf. Champions who used to take grass to survive lane will now be a lot less dominant. Like, Jax will maybe completely swap away from grass to fleet, rather than beforehand it being matchup dependent, maybe. Other champions would rather look into Conqueror still. Every Conqueror champion, Riven, Ambessa, Corki, Ezreal, all these champions have gotten a lot better with this. Like, it doesn't look much, but it's just free power on already good champions. And if you give free power to already good champions, like for example level 1 on the most like extended trade, it's 680, which has the value of 250 gold in power. Yes, like getting 6 hits in is taking a lot of time, but again, it's just free power on the rune you already took anyway, making your champion even better. So yeah. What do I think about this patch? I'm fine with it. It's not too much like crazy stuff happening. I agree with the Amumu nerf. Too easy of a champion. I don't think Swain needed to be nerfed. I disagree heavily on the Aatrox and Senna buffs. These champions didn't need any buffs or adjustments at all. They were fine as they were. Twisted Fate needs a different buff, damage buff. Kassadin, I would rather have the PS nerfed, like for example Orianna, Syndra, Zoe, Lux, like all of these mage champs, I'd rather have them nerfed than for example Kassadin buffed even more. Blue Cane, he can definitely get another buff in the next patch. I don't think this will be enough to help him. Buffing Viego is a huge mistake. Camille buffs will make it easier for her to play lane early game, makes it better for her to just generally play the game due to more raw AD. Camille wasn't forced to win lane before, just makes it easier to win lane though, but it doesn't put her into the most broken state. Kalista, a lot better, most deserved buff out of all these things, still a duo Q champion, and that's it. I think that's pretty much it for this patch. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this patch, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, come back for more, and see you soon for more content. Bye bye, take care.